Welcome to the Fancounters Celebrity Podcast, the only podcast that doesn't talk about the coronavirus except when we do. My name's Nick.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And you're on the phone. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're in quarantine land still.
Yep, we can't be together in the studio.
No. You know, we actually got a hard time because I've been taping some interviews without you, and the guests were like, well, you know, there is a thing called Zoom. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess we could have Zoomed.
Yeah, we could be Zooming.
So next week when Richard Karn is here, we already did that interview, and he does make some jokes about the fact that you're not actually on the podcast.
Well, all right then.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, but I wouldn't have thought of it either.
Okay, well now we did. So if anything coming forward you want to be a part of, I can fill you in.
I would love to Zoom in.
Oh, good. Anyway, moving on to the quarantine. When you answered your phone, there was a lot of
Yelling.
Yes, thank you for just bringing that up. How's life at the Elizabeth household?
Well, I will tell you. Since I have rheumatoid arthritis and I'm a high-risk patient because of the medication I take affects my lungs, I have literally not left the house since March 15th. And the only time I have left the house is to jockey a car somewhere. Like we needed to take the RV in to be fixed. We needed to take the Honda in to be fixed. Now the Mercedes is in. We're taking this time to have all of the cars brought up to speed. And so the only time I have left the house is to drive and drop someone off or to pick someone up to jockey a car. So that is the only time I have left. And I am the primary grocery shopper in our house. And so I have left this task to my husband, who hates, and I cannot stress enough, hates grocery shopping.
So you're getting half of the things on the list brought into your house then?
Well, here's the thing. If it's not on the list, we don't get it. And so normally I would walk up and down the aisles of, say, an Aldi and go, oh, that would be fun to make a blah, 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 and I'd put it in the cart. Or, oh, I remember now that we're out of this, right? And so he doesn't do that. He walks up and down, cross off the list. If it's not at Aldi's, we don't get it. So, like, I would normally sometimes spend two or three times at a store. Like, I might go to an Aldi's and then a Target and then a Pick and Save, which is a Kroger brand. And I might go to Walmart and all these places to find one item, but I'll be picking up things at all these stores. No, if it's not at the first store he goes to, that is the only store he's going to, and we're just simply not having it.
Wow.
That's the first problem. The second problem is my husband thinks vegetables are Satan's spawn. And so I don't understand that, having grown up on a vegetable farm.
No, but he's a meat eater.
He's a meat eater, yes. Yeah. Meat all the way.
Yeah.
I sent him to the store for zucchini and russet potatoes.
It's very specific.
They were on the list.
Got it. Not
only that, but I had circled a picture of the zucchini on the flyer and said to him, would you like to take the flyer? And he said no. As I'm putting the groceries away, I see no zucchini and no russet potatoes.
Well, he didn't want to eat those.
Instead, I see 2 cucumbers and new red potatoes. So I say to him, where's the zucchini? Right there. No, these are cucumbers. Do you not know the difference between a cucumber and a zucchini? Well, they were green. Oh, my God. Did you not bring me home zucchinis? No. Also, what are these? Russet potatoes. No. These are red potatoes. I told you we were going to make baked potatoes. You cannot make baked potatoes out of red potatoes. They will fall apart. Do you see here on the bag where it clearly says for boiling and salads? Where do you see russet? It said russet. Where? Show me where. Show me.
Don't you think he gets a little bit of a pass, though? He did do the shopping.
No, because if you're not going to let me go and do it, and I've offered.
Yep, I was going to say, it sounds like you don't want to go and do it.
Oh, no, I want to. As a matter of fact, after that incident last week, I did send him to another store where he came home with zucchini, really kind of nasty-looking zucchini, but nonetheless zucchini, and an entire bag of russet potatoes. Now, when I ask for russet potatoes and I tell you we're making baked potatoes, I don't want a potato the size of a big Super Bowl. I want a big potato. The entire bag is like Super Bowl, like smaller, like golf ball sized potatoes.
Oh,
and then at the bottom, the whole bottom layer was rotten.
Oh, you
I'm
gotta
like,
look
did
at
you
that.
not even look at these? I said, first of all, we needed baked potatoes. Like this, you got to look through the bags, dude. And he's like, oh.
He's not going to like this podcast today.
Yeah, well, yeah. Unfortunately, we do have a group of friends, of which on Friday night we Zoomed and drank while the children Zoomed and played video games. And this was Friday night, and on Saturday, all of us had a birthday parade to do. Mm-hmm. And so when we all showed up for the birthday parade, everyone gave me zucchini because, of course, I relayed that story. And so now we have so much zucchini in this house. I have spiralized it. I will be making zucchini bread. We'll be grilling it this weekend. We have so much zucchini now.
I'm glad I'm not able to come to dinner, really. Look, we're going to have more of this talk after our guest today. Let's get to the show, and then I will tell you a little bit about my experience homeschooling. It's been fascinating. I'm sure your experience has been as well. So stay tuned after the podcast if you want to join us for that. On this week's show, we've got Dale Niehaus. His name might not be a household name, but the guy is an up-and-coming actor who's been in some fantastic projects. His latest one is a TV miniseries coming out soon called Hunting Jessica, and starting pre-production on a film called Faith Restored, which is about a pastor who loses his faith after a family tragedy, only to find himself transported back to the very first Easter. It's a time period piece, it's a time travel piece, it's a religious piece, and I'm definitely interested in hearing more about that. And let's get it started. This is Dale Niehaus.
Coming to you from nowhere near the entertainment capital of the world, this is Fancounters with Nick and Elizabeth on the Podfix Network.
There was this mob of people, and they're screaming my name.
Crazy fans.
Stop following me. Don't come around my house. If you do, the cops are going to be at yours.
If I'm having dinner with my wife, don't sit down at my table. Don't follow me into the bathroom.
Can I take a picture? We're gonna. Oh my God.
I think this guy wants to fight me. Ended up being a fan.
I'm the only one that's ever been on Sam Jackson and lived to tell about it.
Well, guess what? I have a big surprise for you.
That's why we call it Fancounters.
I don't think you're going to last on the air very long.
Dale Niehaus, welcome to the Fancounters Celebrity Podcast. Thanks for being here.
Oh, well, I appreciate you having me on. It means the world to me. Thank you.
We love hearing about people who are even just starting out in the business, who have a lot of projects under their belt, but they just haven't nailed that one role that you just know is around the corner. And after looking over all that you've done and doing a lot of research on you, I do feel that you're at that point. Where I want to start today is pointing out pretty much the fact that you did not start out as early in life as some of the guests that we've had in the past. In fact, you didn't get started acting until your mid-30s. So I kind of want to know what made you pursue this industry in the middle years of your life.
When I was a child, growing up as an only child in southern Indiana, I had always had a really good imagination, and I always dreamt about how cool it would be to be on a film set or do a voice in a cartoon. But you know, as a child who also had a fear of being in front of people and all that stuff and public speaking, I pretty much just said, no, that ain't going to happen. And so I pretty much just completely put it behind me and forgot about it for a long time. It kind of came back to me back and forth about, I would really like to be an actor. And it just, it would come to me throughout my whole life, even after I became married and had kids. But you know, people telling you, oh, you'll never make it in that field. That's impossible. So, of course, I listened. And so finally, in my mid-30s, I had a chance to be in a small play in Oklahoma. And I took a chance on a limb, just said, you know, it'll be fun. Why not? I'm tired of being scared of being in front of people talking. So this would be the perfect way to get over that fear. Just jump head on in. And so I auditioned and got a couple supporting roles in the same play. And after getting over my fear and being on stage in front of people and realizing that they weren't going to be a murderous mob with torches and pitchforks trying to take me to like they did for, I realized it was a lot of fun. And I got an adrenaline rush doing it. And the acting bug, I don't know, thought I was repellent that day, but apparently it still bit me. And so I got bit by the acting bug. And just like that, I realized it's what I wanted to do. So it hit me later in life than I expected. But, hey, you know what they say? It's never too late to be able to start acting. So I figured, you know what? I'm starting in my mid-30s, so why not give it a shot and see where it goes.
Exactly. Now, I was about 4 years into my marriage a while back, and I just had this feeling, I got to make a film. I was always into the arts and plays and theater and stuff, but I just felt like I had this idea and I had to make a movie, and I did. My wife was very supportive. How does your family support you? What do they think about this dream?
To kind of be honest, where that route kind of went, and it wasn't all because of the acting. I'm going through a divorce, which not try to throw like a sad ball or anything into the thing, but overall, I mean, pretty well. And like I said, it wasn't just because of the acting. While that curveball got thrown, it kind of, anybody who's an actor knows that the life itself is crazy with busy scheduling, and so it did teach me about balance, balancing time between family and the acting life. Because when I first started, I really, really went really in depth with it. Like, I did everything all the time, and I had to learn that you got to make time for family as well. So in a sense, part of it was kind of led to the divorce, but overall, even up till that point, she was very supportive of me. Even at times where she wanted to speak up and say, "Hey, slow down a little bit," she was still very supportive. And kids have been nothing. The parents, when I first told them that I was interested in acting, they thought, like most people, that, oh, it's just a hobby. Mm-hmm. Which anybody that takes acting seriously, and when somebody throws that H word, the hobby word, it's very annoying. Yeah. Because those of us that are truly passionate about this, that love this is what they want to do with their life, or they say it's a midlife crisis or whatever, it hurts because it's like, this is more than that. But getting people to realize that they don't have the same passion for this, it's really impossible. But after a while, my parents seen and I really liked it, and I was good at it. And they've been nothing but supportive ever since. And the kids, of course, they'll be in smaller projects with me locally in Oklahoma. They've been in a few. And but overall, just, now my ex, she's a big supporter. She every time I tell her I have a project coming up, she says, "Hey, congratulations, you deserve it. I'm proud of you." So it's been a learning curve, but it's definitely one that the sacrifices that I've had to go through have definitely paid off now, because as you know, and any actor knows, that there are times, even I'm sure even Morgan Freeman has had times even today that he's wanted to quit because of the struggles that we go through. Mm-hmm. But you definitely realize that the more you stick with it, the more it pays off. It's a matter of just not quitting.
And your goal is really to have enough booked jobs by the end of the year where you can really do this full time, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that any serious professional actor, that should be their goal. With this COVID-19 going on, it's caused quite a blemish in that, because obviously their productions are shut down. But I think that once this all clears up, productions get going again, I think there's going to be more work than there are actors, to be honest, at first. Eventually it'll level out, but I think there's going to be so much work that everybody's going to be running crazy trying to get stuff done, because every production globally is shut down. Right. And as we know, there's films being made constantly all over the world. So I got a feeling that we're not going to be hurting for work at first. It's going to be a lot of, hey, we need to get this done. Boom, 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 boom. So it's going to be stressful but exciting at first. So I'm looking forward to that stress and that excitement, just like any 8 to 14 hour day on set.
You get to pick which half of the day you want to work. I think you're right about that, though, because even productions that were already closed by the time COVID started, and those are the ones that we're going to ramp up right around the time this thing's going to end anyway. And with some shows getting shut down completely in the middle of production, they're going to fire right back up too. So I agree with you. I think you're going to have a multitude of opportunities, probably more than you would have had this not happened in the first place.
Oh yeah, and not to mention too, and here's another bonus too for because before, if you, a lot of people would have to travel to LA or New York or Atlanta or down to Texas to audition for bigger projects, because down in the Midwest, I mean, you will occasionally get the auditions for LA, whatever, but a lot of times it requires you to travel for at least callbacks. But because of this, there's been so many more video auditions that are being sent out that we're able to do for bigger projects. And even though right now there's not really a lot of casting decisions that can be made because of the future, it's allowed, I think, a lot more actors and actresses to be seen by casting directors that, besides otherwise, that they wouldn't be able to. So I guess if there is a silver lining in this, which, I mean, heaven forbid, there's hard to even have a silver lining with COVID-19. It's a terrible thing that's going on, and there's a lot of deaths that happen. It is allowing more people to be seen through video auditions. So I guess there is one positive scenario out of this, I guess. I really don't know what I'm saying with that, but
no, I understand that.
Yeah. But it's definitely made things a little easier for auditioning, at least for right now, since there's really nothing else we can do.
Do you see yourself moving to higher volume production areas like in LA or Atlanta or New York in order, once this is all over?
For right now, my plan is to stay in Oklahoma near my kids and just travel to work. And, that's hopefully hoping for the best with that.
Now, you've participated in a couple dozen projects since you first got started back in 2017. So I want to hear about some of the favorites that you've worked on. And I do understand when I ask you to tell me about a favorite experience that you've had overall, it's kind of like asking which child you love more. So I won't quite do that. But I do want to hear about what films stand out in your background that you'll never forget the experience.
Yeah, once again, that is like picking between your kids, which, between my three boys, that's definitely a hard choice to pick. Let me see. Now you've really got me in a pickle here trying to decide on that, because every project I've been on has really been memorable in a sense. The one project which you can't even see the stuff on yet because it's not done finishing production yet.
Okay.
It's a supernatural series called Hunting Jessica, which is actually being produced and made in Oklahoma. And it's, like I've told several people about it, fans of True Blood are going to truly love this, because it's got several aspects kind of like True Blood, but like any good story, it's got its own life to it. So I think that right there will be a really good example of really great acting for me. And then there's a lot of smaller projects that I've done over the years that, sadly, some of them, and this is with independent films, it does happen. There's productions that do get made, and sometimes, sadly, the work never actually comes out, which
I've worked on films like that before.
Yeah, it's extremely sad. So that right there, when that does come out, but there will be. I know we're going to talk about future projects coming on. So, but there was a demo reel that I recently actually did about a year ago, and a good friend of mine, Kate Brazel, she actually helped me put it together. And so that right there, I've been kind of when people want to see some video of my work, I usually just, like a casting director or something, I'll usually send that to them, and that right there kind of gives a brief ability. But as soon as more of these projects come out that are able to be seen more worldwide and stuff, I think it'll definitely allow more people to see it. Now, there was a project that I was in, but I don't know for sure how much of my footage actually came out into the final production of it, and that was a film called Agent Jade Black, to where I played a very small role in it. And I haven't even, I'm embarrassed to say I haven't even seen it yet, but I played a militiaman in that, to where I pretty much said one line, screamed "hey," and then got shot and blown away. But
it'd be memorable.
It did. Yeah, it was, because it showed me dying.
Yep.
I mean, what film isn't memorable when you can die in it? But yeah, so that I'd say When Hunting Jessica, which November it'll come out.
Okay.
That will be a really good place to see some of my magnifique acting, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I got a lot of listeners that will go to the IMDb page of my guest if they're not familiar with the person. And so there's one project on here that I think I'll get questioned on if I don't ask you myself. So
Sure.
It's called Life According to Susie. Must be some sort of parody because you played Dr. Phil McCaw. Tell me about this project. It's crazy.
It was a very good friend of mine that we had done a project on, which sadly I think that it was one of those they never really were able to do something with. It was called Campus Vampire. I actually played a small role in that for her, and so she called me up because she actually lives out in LA now. Her name is Cheyenne Smith, and she was doing this like parody podcast thing.
Okay.
And she was like, "Hey, I need help with doing a certain part on here. Do you think you could do Dr. Phil McGraw?" And I'm like, I've done it before, but she's like, "Well, just send me an audio clip on your phone and do the impersonation and see if you can do it." So I did it for her, and she was like, "Yeah, that'll work." So basically what it was like this girl that was calling in on a show, and it was to the Dr. Phil show. And of course he was trying to talk to her about her feelings and stuff. And of course she pretty much just called him names or whatever. And, so it was a pretty good comedy, and it was actually really fun to be able to do Dr. Phil for even just that short bit.
Yeah. Is that can you see it somewhere, or is there anywhere that it's distributed?
That I am going to have to check on, because she would actually know more about that. I believe there is somewhere, but it also, I think it's still being edited too. But I will definitely get that information for you as soon as I can to be able to see about where it could be listened at.
We'd love that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Dale, there's so many successful faith-based films that have come out in the past few years. Some that come to mind are The Shack, Miracles from Heaven. Last year we had Breakthrough, to name a few. There's an upcoming film called Faith Restored, and that looks to break into that space and could really make some great waves in that genre. What can you tell us about the film?
Well, I can tell you that it's definitely going to touch a lot of people, like in their hearts and stuff when they see it. And what I've told people too, that even if you're not religious, it would be very entertaining as well, because it basically can really reach anybody, because everybody in some sense has lost hope in something. Like whether they have failed at something and they just wanted to give up, it definitely can reach everybody. Basically what the film is about a minister named Chris, who through some tragic events, he loses his faith. He pretty much gives up hope in God and everything else. And by some magical like miracle or something, he ends up actually being transported back to biblical times, during the times that Jesus did his miracles and leading up to the crucifixion. And so through that process, maybe he might possibly find his faith again. I mean, obviously people will have to watch it to see if he does or not, but it's got some very dramatic elements. Like I know, they've had these things before where they had like these mock accidents set up, I think, where people could go and actually witness a mock accident, like where somebody's actually, it seems realistic.
Yeah, they practice responding.
Been in a car crash.
Yep.
Okay. I truly believe when people watch this film, it's going to hit them in the gut like that. Basically, it just the stuff that this guy goes through, and I'm actually playing him in that. It's a lead. I'm playing the lead in this film, which kind of terrifies me in a sense, because I played a lead in a short film before, and it was one that had a pretty decent amount of lines, but nothing extensive like this. I mean, this right here is going to test my limits of my emotional range, because I'm going to have to put myself in elements in my head of just complete, like, over the top, like sadness, anger, just everything else. And for anybody who's had to play an emotional role and go to that spot to make it seem natural, it's something that takes a little bit to come out of. But I think it's really going to be a moving film, and especially for those who are religious, I really truly believe this is going to be a tearjerker for sure. But it's going to be a testament of how some people lose their faith or hope, and just coming back from that. Something happens that they realize, you know what, I can do this, or I do believe. And I really truly believe that everybody who sees this, it's going to touch them somehow.
It's quite timely. I mean, everybody's kind of feeling that sense right now. Is God here? Where do we stand with him right now? Because there's a lot of different beliefs about whether COVID-19 is something, that should be shut everything down. And I think, we talk about idolizing false gods like sports. He's like, all right, that's gone. Entertainment, yep, that's gone. We're really trying. If you are a person of faith, you can't help but not think that we're being brought back to what we really should have as most important in our life, which is family, your faith, your religious beliefs, and that kind of thing. So it sounds like that's going to be the same, where it's touching you in a way that it really makes you question, or at least think more about what you really believe and what's important.
Well, exactly. And of course, I have friends of all different belief systems, not just Christians. I friends with atheists. I'm friends with all kinds of different beliefs and religions. And, even with atheists, whatever, I mean, they have their own set of values and everything else. And there's times where they've lost hope too. And so, this film, it's basically, it's a Christian-based film. But like you're saying, even with what's going on now, it definitely makes everybody else question their morality with the COVID-19 going on, because it's not realizing nobody's impervious to this. And so once this comes out, which if filming doesn't start till August,
okay,
and it's going to be filmed in Oklahoma and down in Texas, and so it'll be coming out. It should towards the end of the year, but we're hoping for either a theatrical release would be nice, or at least maybe a limited theatrical release, maybe DVD. Hopefully, if at least get seen at churches all over the country. But I'll keep you updated on what's going on with that whenever we get distribution and everything else going.
Now, a lot of actors, in an effort to gain attention for themselves, will write and produce a film that they can star in. Are you a writer?
Yes.
Have you considered that as an option? And if so, what kind of film or role would you make for yourself?
It has kind of occurred to me. I have not actually sat down and actually attempted to write a script yet. And, this kind of goes along those same lines back to when I used to have that fear of being in front of people, but realizing if I would have never jumped off of that ledge and taken that leap of faith, I would have never been to the spot I'm now. So I probably will look into writing my own script here soon. And, I would probably write something along the lines of maybe, almost like a suspense, or I don't know, it'd be even really interesting to play like a serial killer or a mob boss, or just some type of bad person, just to really delve deep into that darker side. I think that, for more curiosity, I love studying up on watching the biographies and stuff, like on the serial killers and stuff. And, of course, who didn't like watching Silence of the Lambs or Hannibal? I mean, those were always really good films too.
And I've seen a picture on your Instagram where you were dressed up sort of like a mob boss, so I can see you pulling off that role.
Yeah, what's funny about that was right after I had actually shaved my head. And what I tell everybody else is, can you actually believe I had hair before then? But I started noticing that I was thinning up top of my head really good. I was getting more forehead than head. And so I started noticing that, and I was like, I'm just going to take the plunge. I always said if I started losing my hair, I was just going to shave it. So I figured I'll shave it and see how that works. I'd done it before in the past, and I was like, so I did it, and decided to get a picture done, and that actual photo shoot. And I got more compliments with my shaved head which at first I was like, so y'all saying I looked ugly with hair? But no, it actually got a lot of compliments, and actually that picture right there is actually one that helped get me the role on Hunting Justice, surprisingly. That picture right there actually helped give them a picture of what I would look like in that particular character, and that's actually what landed me the role in Hunting Jessica from that look. So I love that look.
Shout out your Instagram handle so people can go check that out.
Oh, of course. And I think people will really get a kick out of this one because this is the motto that I live by in everyday life. My tag on Instagram is helping others is the greatest.
We are in a period, obviously we talked about this before, where things are shut down due to the coronavirus. So tell us about, I mean, we talked about the one project, the Faith Restored project that's coming up, but what else do you have coming that we should be looking for?
The one I was going to bring up, but I almost said it too early. I actually recently got cast in a fan film, and it's a fan film called Freddy vs. Jason Dream Escape. Basically, it's being made by fans for the fans.
Okay.
Because all of us that are cast on this project, cast, crew, the writer of it, the executive producer, who also is an award-winning author, all grew up fans of either both or either Freddy or Jason. And so this fan film is taking place when both of them are still in hell, and by some stupid idiots that, which I play one of them,
Okay.
actually go out to the Voorhees residence, which, lovely shack in the woods, end up by unforeseen accident, aka there's probably drinking involved, they bring Jason back to life. And of course, in the dream world, Freddy, I'm sure, has his claw in there somehow, stirring that pot.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lead character in there, which is also being portrayed by a local Oklahoma actor, the wonderful, talented Spencer Trammell. And it basically has him going back and forth between the dream world and kind of going back and forth and going through all this. So it is looking to be a very fantastic film. It's going to be a full-length feature film, and nothing against the Freddy vs. Jason that came out in 2010. I mean, it had its good aspects. Me personally, I wasn't the biggest fan, and the reason I say that is because originally it was supposed to have Kane Hodder playing Jason in it, but the delay on it took so long that they had somebody else playing Jason, and nothing against that actor. But I'm sorry, I'm a Hodder fan from day one.
I am as well.
Yes. But this fan film, I think, is truly going to do justice towards both of those characters, because the guy playing Freddy is also the writer of this script, and his name is Joshua Adams, and he also is putting a fantastic Freddy costume together for this. And he's actually the executive director, who is the award-winning author Blake Best, who has written fan fiction. He's also written a book based off of the Freddy 4 film, who he actually knows some of the cast from that, and he also has some of the props from those films. He actually is raising funds for this film and is having somebody not only make, which actually I believe it's already made, the glove that's being used in the fight scene in the film, but also a mask to be worn by Joshua, and it's a lifelike Freddy mask. I mean, this thing right here, you wouldn't be able to tell if it was
Makeup
Robert or not. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, it's going to look fantastic. And then the guy playing Jason, who's also the director of this, his name is, Cody Huskins. I almost forgot his name. I'm sorry, Cody, if you listen to this later. This dude is a Hodder size type of guy. He's like 6 foot, whatever something. I think 6'4", 6'5". Massively built, and he has cosplay costumes. He actually does cosplay for Jason. He's got number 3, number 4, number 2, number 6, number 7, number 8 film Freddy or Jason costumes he's put together himself.
Oh, wow.
And he's also been an actor since he was a little kid. His father and grandfather, I believe, if I heard right from him, were actually involved in the film industry before. And so between those three, which Blake is also not only executive producer, but he also is a consultant for the Freddy character since he knows so much on the actual franchise. So It is a fan film being made by huge fans of the series. So I think when it comes out, which they're looking at trying to get DVDs made for it, it's a fan film, so obviously no profit is being made. So that way it's not infringing on any copyright things because we're not making a profit off of it. But I think once it comes out, people are going to really, really enjoy this, and hopefully it'll do justice to, Freddie and Jason, people like Kane Hodder and Robert Englund. So I really think it'll do justice towards them.
And when do you think we can expect that?
Whenever they get it edited. I know they're wanting to try to get this released as soon as possible, but obviously we have to wait for COVID-19 to clear up. So as soon as COVID-19 is cleared up to where traveling's allowed, to where people can actually get together and productions can start. And right now they're at about 33% funded, which they're getting ready to start up the second campaign, the Indigo campaign. Once that gets closer to what they need, then we will start filming it, which will be in Tennessee, is where it's going to be filmed at. So I want to say later this year. I want to say optimistically in the fall. But obviously there's a page on Facebook called Freddy vs. Jason Dreamscape where people can go like to it, subscribe to it, and they can actually get continuous updates, and the actual executive producer will actually make live feeds to where fans can actually go on there and talk to him.
Oh, very cool.
And so, yeah, he'll actually go on there almost every day, and usually it's in the evening time, and he'll actually go on there, and anybody that's likes the page and subscribes to it will actually get on their Facebook page, will actually get a live update to where they can actually click on that, and they can actually go in there and make comments that they want, which if anybody makes any rude comments, they'll, of course, be asked to leave, but that's with any group.
Yeah, but in these fan groups, these are the diehard fans that want to see projects like this get made.
Yes.
So,
and this is what we're making this for. And obviously anything that they've raised for this project, and that is going to go back, it's going to go into special effects, but it's also going to go into future projects, which Blake actually has written a book, and it's called Razor's Edge, and it actually is the origin story of Freddy, from when he's a kid up until he was burnt and became Freddy. And they're actually, Joshua Adams is going to be probably here soon, once this gets made, or he's in the process of it, he's constantly writing, writing the script for that. So that will be another fan film that will come out eventually, is the Freddy origin story.
That's excellent. I love those characters. Very excited for that project. Dale, throw us out all your social media handles, if you would. Let us know where we can find you.
Okay. Well, the Instagram one, that was one right there. The Helping Others is the Greatest, which I just think that name is catchy. On Facebook, it's real easy. Just Dale A. Niehaus. It's just that's what I go by on Facebook. And then the only other one I use is on Instagram, or not Instagram. I just said that.
Twitter. You got Twitter?
I have actually, surprisingly, no. I did at one point try to attempt to start a Twitter account, but because I just don't get the time to go on there as much, so I never really did Twitter. My IMDb page, which it doesn't get updated a whole lot, but that's also where people can go to actually look up information on me. But Facebook and Instagram are my main places that I actually check at least once a day, unless I'm busy, and it's at least a couple times a week. So that would be the best places for people to reach me.
Excellent. Well, Dale, I really appreciate you joining us on Fancounters. We've had a great time learning about you and all the projects, and certainly some that I can't wait to see. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about when these movies will be released.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll be glad to definitely keep you updated on stuff that comes out. And before I forget, I do need to throw a shout out, if I can, before we close this up.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I do this on every podcast because they're an amazing company. They're getting ready to do some fantastic productions once all this lifts. It's called Angry Troll Studios, and it is run by Matt Clark and Tesha Clark, and they are two extremely wonderful, hardworking individuals that have some amazing projects. They have some A-list actors already attached to their next project called Legend of Johnny Jones, which it's on IMDb. So without me mentioning names on here, people can actually go up and see who's on that. And I'm looking forward to eventually, hopefully get on one of their projects, but I always like to throw their name out there because they are decent and really good people.
Awesome. Angry Troll Studios, looks like their website's angrytrollstudio.com, so you can check that out.
Yes.
Perfect. Yes. Well, Dale, stay healthy, man. And once this is over, I know you're going to be getting a lot of jobs, and we'll look forward to having you back if you want, and when stuff comes out, and we'll talk more about the finished project.
I absolutely would be honored to come back anytime on your show. I appreciate it very much.
My thanks to Dale Niehaus for joining us on the show this week. It's a good interview.
Cool.
Elizabeth,
cool
I promised at the beginning of the show that we would talk a little bit more about what we've been doing in quarantine as far as homeschool goes, and kind of telling you about that experience. I actually have to say I'm pretty lucky because I'm in a group, a Facebook group that's private with all the parents of my kids' friends and that kind of thing. And we are probably one of the few people in that group who don't have an issue with our kids getting their homeschooling done. They're pretty good at checking off the items and sending in the responses all by themselves and that kind of thing, whereas a lot of kids throw temper tantrums or just basically don't do stuff. And so that has been pretty good, but I do have a couple times where one of my daughters will just, I don't know what to do. I can't write a sentence. How do I begin this? It's mostly like the creative writing that she's really struggling with. And it's like I could sit there and write the paper for the second grader, but then it's not her doing the work. So I try and formulate the sentences. I even drew a diagram with pictures and keywords. She just couldn't put that together. And that's why teachers are so important, because they can probably do a lot better job than I am. But overall, I think homeschool's been good.
Kudos to you, because I can't not do it. Like I'm doing fifth grade again. I am turning in some wonderful things in fifth grade.
They've never seen such great work out of your daughter.
I know. I mean, some of the things they keep saying is like, oh, we're so surprised by what she says. Really? Are you really? Because a woman with a master's degree is writing it. I'm trying to make it sound like a fifth grader wrote it, but it's really not.
Well, you know, they say it's homeschooling, but the better term for it, and I've heard this, is called crisis schooling. So
I think that's a better term, yes. And I have told you repeatedly, my favorite meme on the internet is, I can't wait to find out who my kid's teacher is next year for school.
I hope it's not me. I know. I love it. I do.
That is my favorite meme that is out there right now. Or the other one that you sent out saying, I would like to call a substitute. What number do I call?
That's right. I got to call in sick today. But yeah, it's been kind of interesting. You have had the same situation, well, as everybody across America, and I get that. We're all stuck in our homes with our families, and sometimes you just get a little bit too much family time.
Yes.
So I did make my mother-in-law very upset over the Easter break.
What did you do?
Well, it's something I posted on Facebook. So every year, and I love her so much, and I love that she does this, and it was completely taken the wrong way, but she makes cake lambs every Easter.
Oh, I saw that, yes.
And, you know, we get a little punchy when we're at home, and we get a little silly. And so my silliness was to take a knife, and I had my child tape it in slow motion, where I started way high, and I did it like a sword, and I cut the lamb's head off, and I posted it on Facebook. And unfortunately,
You decapitated that cake.
She didn't. I think at first she thought it was funny, but then I think she read into it too much, because they're at home by themselves too, and there's a lot of time to think about things. But I literally was just trying to do something to make people laugh, and it didn't come off that way. I don't know if we're on the cake list for next year or not. I hope we're still on the list, because we ate it. We ate the whole thing.
In the comments of that attack, I actually have that lamb cake pan. You can make her a piece lamb, and
I probably should do that. But
tell her you're sorry and make her a new one.
Yeah. But it was delicious. We ate the whole thing, and I think she was more worried that we destroyed it and just threw it away, but we would never do that. It was delicious. So, if you don't know what a cake lamb is, it's in a shape of a lamb, and they frost it, and it even had eyes and a little bow around its neck, and it was really cute until I took its head off.
Yeah, we used to make it with yellow cake or white cake, and then put white frosting on, and then we'd fill it full of coconut so it looked like it had hair on it, and then it was always sitting on green-colored coconut like grass.
Okay.
Its eyes were jelly beans.
Now, she's an expert at making these. They look beautiful. And it's funny because I'll see a picture on the internet of somebody trying to do the same cake lamb. It looks awful, and they're like, nailed it. And it just looks like something that was inbred and not quite looking very correct.
Well, I suppose beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, so we will continue our journey here and share more stories as we move along, but let's move along to the end of the podcast.
Well, stay safe, everyone, and stay at home, and we'll be back together just as soon as we can.
Absolutely. Make sure you check us out on social media. We are at Sharpie Nation on Facebook. We also have a very large Facebook group by searching Fancounters. You can always send us an email if you want. Check in with us. Tell us how you're doing.
At hello@fancounters.com.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week with Al Borland. Richard Karn will be here, and we hope you will too.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.